use of inverting the fullbacks came very early on in the game. Joe Hart works the ball into Starfelt. Aberdeen were in a 4-3-3, so Ferguson's pushed up here and is going towards Beaton. As the ball built up in that area, Ralston inverts into the middle. Now what that does is, as Starfelt turns and plays it back to Carter Vickers, who then starts to step forward, Ferguson starts to drift across, and you can see Samuels there's pointing to try and get him to come across and cover in this position, because as that happens, Turnbull drops completely out and into this deeper position here, which Samuels knows. Now as he starts to move across that way, Ralston just drops into position here, and even though Brown gets across, he's too late. It goes in, out, Turnbull plays it forward, and then Abada's in a 1v1. So again, you can see there's a point to the inversion of the fullbacks. He can come in, Turnbull can push higher, and then drop into that pocket, which leaves Abada 1v1. Carter Vickers just needs to be patient, wait for that moment to happen, and then they can play out very simply and attack. Now, what teams who play a 4-3-3 have done against Celtic is they've allowed their wingers to kind of push and put pressure on the centre halves, and they've allowed their striker to drop back in onto the number 6 to stop Celtic building out. And that's tending to force Hart to go long at this stage. However, what happens here, I think it's actually Longstaff that pushes up here, Samuel on the other side. Ralston actually drops into this position, he inverts, he drops into this area to get on the ball. And this is actually the right thing to do and the right move. But again, as he receives it in here, this position, he's pressured by Ferguson. That's what you want, and I'm sure this is what Postecoglou wants. But at this point here, what he doesn't want is this ball to go back to Joe Hart whilst Longstaff's already been applying pressure and is a lot closer to him. So when it comes into this position here, that touch needs to be across. In that position, Starfelt's in a great position. If he works it into here, you can see on this side, suddenly you've got a little bit of an overload. Starfelt can play Montgomery to play McGregor, and then they're away. But the ball just gets forced back, and then Joe Hart's end up putting it out for a corner to Aberdeen. So when people are talking about Postecoglou moving away from his principles, again, you need to look at the players in these positions and what they're being asked to do. Some of their movements and when they're getting on the ball is correct, but it's just the execution that's letting them down. So a good example from the first half. Again, it came very early on. Starfelt's on the ball here. Beaton's position is good because he knows he's going to get man marked, so he just drops deeper into this position so that if Starfelt's forced to go back, he's actually in a great area to get on the ball. But Starfelt's very patient. He twists and turns his body a little bit. McGregor's marked, as you can see here, and he just goes closer in, and then he just pulls away, engaging that press, and Starfelt just plays it in between them. He plays the ball out wide and into Jota, and the whole team start to move up. However, through that whole bit of the process here, Turnbull's free because Ferguson and Longstaff are over that side covering those areas. And then as the game goes and progresses up the pitch and Aberdeen start to recover in these positions, Turnbull remains free and Jota is able just to find him with Ralston running inside into this position. And again, same thing, straight to Abada for a 1v1. He goes down and he ends up winning a corner. I think that's why McGregor was included on the left-hand side. His ability to take the ball back to goal under pressure and still able to move and get out is really, really crucial. You do lose a bit of him in the 6, but again, in that position, he can do that and pick it up. In the second half as well, he was also able to pick it up in a similar area and hit a 78-yard diagonal to Abada. So again, there is downsides of him being in that position, but if you utilise it and they build up in the right way, he can be a real asset in that area for building out. For the winning goal, credit has to go to Postecoglou for the substitutions and the way he switched players' positions. McGregor ended up back in the 6, Turnbull left central midfield, Rogic right central midfield. We know Rogic likes to push up a lot more and is higher up the pitch, which is crucial for this goal. Kyogo comes to the left, Jota onto the right hand side, and a Jetty through the middle. As Turnbull drives into the middle, Rogic drops in deep, which just pulls the centre half out, and a Jetty makes a little run in behind. And that's important because even though that movement the defenders managed to switch, I think a Jetty's movement pulls in Ramsey enough, and he does check his shoulder before he tucks in, but it just does enough to move him inside. As Rogic gets the ball, we know how good he is in 1v1 situations. He's able just to take a few touches, roll the player, and again, Montgomery stayed high and advanced, Rogic is able to play him in, but as that pass is being played, if you watch Jota at the back post, he's already on the move, anticipating it, and it's great composure from Montgomery in to square it across goal, and a great finish to win the game for Celtic.